Hello Mississippi Realtors, I'm your 2026 President DeShawn Davis. Today we're taking a look at an important change in Mississippi real estate law, Senate Bill 2713, the legislation that requires buyer brokerage agreements. This law was passed in the 2026 legislative session, signed by the governor on March 13th, and goes into effect July 1st, 2026. Beginning July 1st, a buyer brokerage agreement or a buyer agency agreement will be required when a licensee is providing representation for compensation to a buyer in a covered residential transaction. This agreement helps define the relationship between the brokerage and the buyer by outlining expectations for services, representation, and compensation. One of the most unique aspects under the law is the flexibility it provides regarding timing. A buyer brokerage agreement does not have to be signed before giving a prospect a tour. Instead, the brokerage agreement may now be executed at any point during the working relationship, as long as it's signed before an offer is written on a property. This gives consumers and licensees more flexibility in determining when it makes most sense to formalize a business relationship in a particular situation. It allows for early conversations with buyers and opportunities to build understanding while still ensuring representation is clearly established before a transaction moves forward. It is also important to distinguish that this agreement is different from the Mississippi Real Estate Commission's working with a real estate broker form. The MREC form is still required at the first substantive meeting with the buyer or seller and serves as an important disclosure document regarding agency relationships. The working with a real estate broker form is not a buyer brokerage agreement, but a disclosure that gives the consumer the choice of being a client with representation or a customer who is not represented. It is basically a job description of what the consumer can expect depending on their choice. A major goal of this new 2026 legislation is to provide greater clarity, consistency, and transparency in buyer representation, while giving brokerages more choices in how they structure buyer-client relationships. It also has an added benefit of giving consumers greater flexibility and choosing how they want to work with a licensee. As a member of the Mississippi Realtors, you have an exclusive member benefit with a comprehensive standard form set that is kept legally compliant and current. The FHA and the FHC forms are valuable tools for members to understand and to use in establishing that required brokerage relationship with your buyers. As implementation approaches, brokers and licensees should review brokerage policies and stay informed on updates from the Mississippi Real Estate Commission and the Mississippi Realtors.